The second point that Barlow makes is that territorial governance of the internet is illegitimate. His argument is that government should defer to private ordering or cyberspace self-rule, that the rules made by the people in the communities that operate online will be better than any rules made by national governments. Quoting Barlow, he says, "We believe that from ethics, enlightened self-interest, and the common weal, a more legitimate form of government will arise." This is an argument that was contemporaneously expressed by legal scholars David Johnson and David Post in a famous article called Law and Borders. In that article, Johnson and Post make the argument that because the internet exists essentially as a borderless network, the territorial nation states don't have any legitimate right to govern, or they have a less legitimate claim to govern than do the operators of the networks and the communities that exist on the internet. So they proceed with what is really a liberal utopian vision, that we will all be able to come together and form communities willingly that reflect the values that best enable us as individuals and communities to flourish. You don't get to choose which nation state you are born into, but you get to choose which online community you form part of. Therefore, for Johnson and Post, any law imposed by territorial states would be no better than, as Johnson says, jurisdictional whack-a-mole. People would never understand what laws that they are subject to because the laws of many different nation states could conceivably apply to the rules of online behaviour. The only way out of this, for Johnson and Post, is for governments to defer to self-rule by self-organising online communities. And that will necessarily lead to better, more adapted rules for those communities than we could impose from outside. As we'll see when we study jurisdiction and the Dow Jones case, Dow Jones and Gutnick case, this is a really contested issue. Governments are not willing or ready to cede the responsibility or the power to govern how their citizens interact online. Governments have a duty that they express to protect their citizens online, and with that duty comes a responsibility to intervene in the way that online social spaces are governed. So governments will fight and have fought quite hard to exercise some degree of control over the internet. They do this with greater or lesser degrees of success, but this is the content that we will be studying in this unit, as we look at how exactly governments can exercise power over online social spaces and the limits to that power, both the practical limits and the theoretical limits, the limits of legitimacy of governments exercising power over online communities.